Fortunately, the private sector, Michael, as you know, is saving us from this COVID-19 despair. Here is Steve Doocy talking about how the wonders of COVID-19. And again, it's like, I think to a large extent, the reason why there is all this relaxing going on is a function of pressure from, Chamber of Commerce types, Mercer, Koch brothers, Koch brother on Donald Trump, and this sort of sense of like getting the economy going. But we will find out, like, the cost will be externalized, right? The cost will be society's.
Right.
Play this clip. It's number 4.
I was thinking, Ainsley and Brian, this morning, whether it is the SpaceX launch later today or the race for a vaccine, while the government is involved, for the most part, we're looking at private enterprise in both the private sector. Capitalism is putting us back in space, and capitalism is part of the race for a vaccine. Ainsley?
You're right, because SpaceX, owned by Elon Musk, this is amazing. This is the first time in about 10 years that we have launched from American soil. This is a private company. They've been preparing for this for 6 years now, and they're going to do it for the first time today. They did a dress rehearsal last year, but this is the first time that humans have been launched from a private company up into space.
God knows how much of that technology that is being employed there is a function of U.S. tax dollars. I mean,
Elon Musk's real talent is getting U.S. contracts. He is a master of getting U.S. government investment, essentially, for, I would say, a pretty mixed record. This is so basic, though, that this is the type of segment that makes me a little bit optimistic. It's almost like, if everything is completely failing, I don't know what to say. Like, it's sort of like if you and I just sat down and we were like, but it still is kicking in, is Social Security. Isn't that great? At a time where in this ridiculous hypothetical I'm painting, say Sanders is president and the wheels are just falling off completely, and there's a pandemic and none of the policies are working, and the signals were not in place, and everything's a disaster. And then finally, after months of spinning, we're just like, it's good? Social Security. I mean, we would still be more right, but it's just so basic. I don't know. They've got no material.
Right. But the problem is that there's really not many voices out there saying, we got SpaceX going up in the air, and there's a big kudos to the taxpayer, because 84% of all the technology used in SpaceX was actually developed with tax dollars. Here's another story. It just happened to come out. Washington Post. This drug, remdesivir. Maybe remdesivir. I'm not saying it.
I think you're in the ballpark.
It is put out. It is owned by Gilead Sciences. This is, I think, an Israeli company. And, I don't know if they're Israeli or not, but I guess it must be an American company, because they had this drug. It had been, sort of like shelved. A scientist convinced the company about 7 years ago to, assemble a library of 1,000 cast-off molecules and search for medicines to treat emerging viruses. Okay. So this is where this drug came from, I should say. And the drug was just sort of sitting in the mothballs. They'd shelved it. I'm not exactly sure how they develop drugs, but Gilead, this scientist said, let me work on this drug because I think it could have some antiviral help. This is about 7 years ago. There were 3 federal health agencies that were deeply involved in remdesivir's development on every step of the way, providing tens of millions of dollars of government research to support. And despite the fact that there were these massive subsidies, federal agencies have not asserted patent rights to Gilead's drug, potentially a blockbuster therapy worth billions of dollars. So not only, look, I got no problem with the U.S. government not participating necessarily in profits to this, although I think they should exert their patent rights so that we can say this drug you will make 10% profit on this. You will make 8% profit on this. But if it turns out to be a drug that's going to help with the therapy of coronavirus, we invested in it. We created it, tax dollars, and you're going to make it available for, X number of dollars or whatever it is. You're going to give us, the American government, X amount of doses, whatever it is. Like all of this story gets repeated over and over and over again, where public resources go into creating profit for private enterprise at the expense of not just the expense that it cost us to develop it, but then at the expense of the rest of society. Like we get hit on both ends.
I would say, to me, I agree completely, but I do want a stake of that profit. It's a public-private partnership. If this is how we're going to operate, then the profits are going to be shared, frankly, by both institutions. And in addition to that, someone said this, I forget who, but I like this reframing of pharmaceutical companies. It's like, look, of course they have R&D and of course they have scientists. But if you factor in the amount of public research investment that these companies' models are built on, you can more accurately think of them not as science, biology, and medicine companies, but as branding, advertising, and patent consortiums.
Right.
And that's what they're doing. They are taking literal public commons, privatizing them, and then taking it out of the hands of people. This is just cartel stuff. There isn't even a market argument inside this. It's cartel. It's pure. It's privatize the public commons, make benefits for shareholders, and then pay off the political system. That's it.